Welcome to episode 2 of the Goldfish Tank Podcast. Today's sponsor is my daughter's sticker company. She's launching it soon. She wants a better printer, and so that she can print those things, and not just on water bottles. You can stick them anywhere you want. And she also wants money for a vending machine because she likes robots. Okay, I already forgot your name.
Jack Abanorthy. Me off the 18th.
The 18th, exactly.
Yes.
Okay, good. It was just spot checking.
It's a long, illustrious family, but you probably haven't heard of it.
And if I understand correctly, are you related in any way to Ian from our previous show?
I have never met Ian Prescott.
Never met
and I do not know him.
Okay. All right. But we got introduced to you just this afternoon. And so welcome to the show. So we are Goldfish Tank. We make small checks, small investments, but we give you really good advice and we give you publicity. Because I can tell you, yesterday we had a target of over 69 views. I think we may be reaching 69 views. Big milestones.
But are those unique viewers, or is it just somebody watching it on a repeat?
I think most of them are me. And the producer.
How much ad revenue are we looking at so far?
6 cents. I don't know. Actually, is it monetized? We'll have to check if it's monetized.
Probably not monetizable.
Definitely not monetizable. Things. Yeah, we'll try.
Yeah.
We'll try.
So, Bill, I'm glad to be on. I think we can do some investments. But I'm primarily interested in your supply of fish. We're looking to expand our processing capabilities from kind of the bovine and kind of land animal base into the marine life. So this felt like a synergistic.
I hate to break it to you, but we actually don't sell fish.
I see. I think somebody has crossed their wires.
Or branding.
I don't know. Branding.
Confusion branding. Yeah, so they explain
I'm tempted to give a walk away, but I'll keep listening.
So there's a show on TV.
Okay.
It's called Shark Tank.
I don't watch it.
Clearly.
The Mioffs are old family. We're old money, so we don't go for the newfangled stuff.
So it's called Shark Tank.
This is like a derivation of radio, right?
Yes.
Okay. We don't listen to that either.
I can tell.
All right.
But people go, sort of like Christopher Columbus times, when he went to the king and then he said, hey, I have this great idea, right? Yeah. We're going to go sail into the unknown, find the Indies, find India and spices and bring them back. So they go on this show called Shark Tank. And I think there's like 3 judges and it's like one person at a time who pitches. And then they write them checks.
Okay. You have my attention. We actually co-sponsored the Columbus expedition.
I believe that. So this show is a little twist on it because first of all, my competence is clearly questionable, whereas theirs is legendary. My checks are tiny, right? And my advice is dubious. I think, but that's okay.
I think the size of the check isn't that important. What's important is the number written on it. If you want to go, hyper small, that's fine. If you want to go we prefer billboard size, they hold it up.
Yeah, we could do
it's
that.
Preferable, but it's just the number on the check that really is what matters.
I agree. But we could also write checks in base 2 if you want to have more zeros.
I think this is good thinking.
or base 1.
I think it's a misunderstood.
We could do just base 1, like parrot numbers, basically.
Parrot, yes. So. Zeros. Just off the page, and then you assume it's more than you thought.
Exactly. We can go all the way to 420. That'll be a lot of zeros. And
you'll need a big check for that.
It could be like on a stamp, for example.
Okay. Fair enough. All right.
Okay, cool. All right. So welcome to the show.
I still don't understand what you do. You let me derail the conversation. So off to a bad start.
I could help you. We could sort of figure out what you're good at. Okay. Maybe a chip on your shoulder, something you'd like to fix about the world, and then maybe I'll invest into your business. So going back to this whole buying goldfish thing, perhaps that's something that you guys and you have old family money, etc.
I think it's clear to point out that I don't have a chip. The problem's not with me. The problem's with the world. But I take your premise.
I totally agree.
Maybe you can help me with the world.
Totally agree. Okay, so maybe we could start there. What do you think is the biggest problem in the world that you'd like to solve and that you feel like we can action on it?
I think it's pretty clear. It's a 3-letter word. And 4 if you include pluralization.
Okay, no swear words.
Starts with a J.
No. Keep going.
Ends with a W. But that's all I got. Sorry, folks. Now you need to put some. I was out of the splash stuff. That's what's important. But I think you're living up to the fish tank name. I didn't realize it was.
Okay, so
hydration is very important for fish. I'm talking about Jaws. I'm talking about
Jaws.
I'm talking about
Jaws.
I'm talking
So
about sharks.
So sharks. Okay, so VCs. So
Was that not clear? I don't think anyone misunderstood that.
overly aggressive VCs.
Oh, not
That's
literal
the problem.
sharks, but
So
in the ocean.
what's the problem in the world? Help me.
Oh,
Okay,
so-
so sharks in the ocean, literal sharks. Okay, I'm with you. Now that the water has cleared my
there's a reason.
nose pipes.
There's a reason you don't put your pet and fish in the ocean. All right.
Sure, it is a
So
concern.
I think we'll talk a little bit about what we're doing. We actually have kind of a joint venture here. There's two components of this business, irrevocably linked.
Does it involve soup?
No, in no way does it involve soup.
Oh, you didn't think
Yeah.
about
Well, we'll get to human trials in a bit.
like increasing people's virality?
Oh, virality. Well, no,
Make them more virile. Like
yes.
you could eat
that
shark
is,
soup.
That is one of the.
With-
well,
with-
we don't mess with sharks. They're a problem. They ruined the batch. We haven't done fish at all.
Okay.
So we work for a kind of an early stage startup called Pet Fuel. It's we are a biodiesel. On the surface, we're a biodiesel manufacturer.
Okay.
But the element is where most biodiesel right now is made of grain or
Sure.
industrial byproducts.
Sure.
We use, historically, we've used kind of animal byproducts. Like all the meat you don't eat, carcasses,
Sure.
horses, cattle, sheep, humans. Mostly, I think one of the most successful portions of this is we have a dragnet over the Ganges.
Right.
And so I don't know if you're aware, but a lot of bodies are floated down, but before they reach the ocean.
It's a tragedy.
Yeah. Well, it's a religious thing. I don't know. But we harvest them before they hit the ocean and convert them to biodiesel. But
So-
Pet Fuel specifically is our venture into taking your pets and turning them into a biodiesel fuel additive.
No, I get that. That's a terrible idea. But
That feels.
but I think
harsh.
but it has potential, right? I'm very optimistic.
Yeah.
So
So there's
we start with sharks.
Okay, no,
Then you explain Pet
you
Fuel.
went off the deep end.
No.
There's no sharks involved. Sharks
Okay, so
are a problem.
no more sharks. So
No,
no
we're
more
looking to
Jaws.
branch out into fish,
Okay.
but right now we only do land animals.
Right.
We have our base product, Pet Fuel, which has been established and has been in operation for a few hundred years. And we're looking to branch out into horses for horsepower and corpses for manpower.
Power. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, how big is your legal team? Your ethics team? You're
So,
looking for
yeah,
Peter to
no.
go after you again.
I don't know what that means.
You remind me of my guest yesterday.
As I've told you, I'm not familiar with Pupster, and I've never heard of EM Prescott freely.
There are themes that are well connected in your meat brain.
So, and I turn to your legal question. So, this is an old and established family, old established company. We don't actually operate under kind of what you would consider the current legal framework.
Right.
We're currently incorporated.
So the Overton window is going to shift in your direction.
Yeah,
the way
yeah,
it used
yeah,
to be in
yeah,
Christopher Columbus's
yeah.
time.
So we're actually based most of our operations under kind of the rules of piracy from
Right.
1352 Dutch Admiralty Court.
Got you. Okay, that makes
So-
sense. Okay. Yeah.
So this may complicate your investment as well.
Well, I mean, we're open, right? Like we want to create potentially like new nations. I mean, there's oceans, there's international water, there's space. We're very open in terms of like where to allocate capitals and how to establish new systems of governance. I mean, I'm open to new ways to think about the future, right? Because sometimes it's easier to just build new rather than fix the old.
Sure.
And you guys know something about this clearly. But how many? Just play this along, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, we'll solve the ethics eventually.
Yeah.
I hope. I'm optimistic there. But the business model is you want to collect biomass,
Yeah.
right? Any kind of biomass, essentially.
Well, specifically
And-
pets.
Specifically pets,
Yeah.
and then you sell it as
A biodiesel
Fuel.
fuel additive.
okay, and
So, like I think we give an example. Let's say you have a dog,
right,
and what do dogs love to do? They'll either drive along with you in their car.
true.
What if you could give that dog one last ride by turning it into a fuel additive, adding it to your gas tank,
I get you. So
or a cat?
why would someone want to pay for that? Like over, let's
Sentimentality
say, sentiment
or hatred.
Hatred. Okay.
So for instance, for the cats, you'd probably add it to a weed whacker or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so
I mean,
again, legality,
you can't
ethics
throw-
aside.
also, you can't
so
just
how
throw a
much
do-
do you think you can get per liter, and like what's the processing costs, and are there any?
Yeah. So the problem with being old money is So I don't really know how you guys measure this. I was thinking like the price of a dozen eggs. So like, is that a couple $100s? I don't know.
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Depends what kind of eggs. But
Okay. Yeah, so a few $100s.
Okay. So a few $100s. There's been a lot of inflation in the U.S. recently. So I mean, you go to Costco and
I was going to say a single
you have to
silver
mortgage
bullion.
your house. I'm sorry.
Well, we usually measure things in bullion.
I figure.
Yeah. So I don't.
The 1 ounce of gold now is passing $3,000. So you can basically buy, 30, maybe 30 eggs, something like that.
What's that in yachts?
In yachts. I mean, the price of yachts has also increased quite a bit. I think the small yacht now is probably $2.5 million, something like that. I mean, we'd have to check. I could call a few friends to see if they have any for sale. But seriously, I think there's something interesting there. So you're thinking about helping people to basically, instead of maybe cremating their pets or something like that, right?
They would want to,
or throwing it in the trash. You're thinking, hey, you could sort of dispose it with us, and we could transform it into fuel. And you have to look at the ethical and the legal framework. But there could be an avenue where people would enjoy essentially using that as combustible for an internal combustion engine or something else, right? They could use it as it's fuel, but at the end of the day, it's sort of filtered, right? Like the carbon chains were part of your pet. You could, I don't know, put it in a jar, something, right? Something like this. I mean, you call it pet fuel with the intention of people burning it, perhaps like with some scent to it or something. But
yeah, and we're also thinking, to your point earlier, we were also briefly we're considering branching out into human supplementation. So you can drink it.
How does that work? Okay, so you drink
like an additive to protein shakes or cocktails.
Is that something people do? They take
not yet, but not
yet.
If I knew about it.
How about makeup? Could you use it for makeup?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so you could
Perfumes.
because as far as I can understand, makeup does use byproducts of dinosaurs, and so there's a lot of products that use petrochemicals, and people don't fully appreciate it. But definitely, So so the idea is like you could make, let's say, a lipstick or a lip balm or something that essentially is made out of your pet or your deceased parents or something like that. So
or baby products. I mean, I think what a lot of people don't realize is the spirit of the animal you've kind of distilled down is still in the product.
Right. And
so you're getting the energy of.
Do you see
sacrifice.
like maybe cultures where that could work better? Like I'm thinking like the Mexicans love to celebrate the dead, for example. Right? There's a movie about this by Disney. There's also perhaps people who believe in reincarnation, or maybe Japanese who think that like there's spirit in everything. So are those where do you think about starting? And
I think if you project forward in the next 50 years, we might see the entire collapse of Western kind of society and a reversion back to primalism, and animal and sun worship. And I think if that market materializes, we may have an inroad there as well.
Okay. So it's pet fuel, but it's really petrochemical, right? Like it's everything that you can do with it.
Yeah. And I think it also positions us for a future where, I don't know if you're familiar with the movie Soylent Green.
Unfortunately,
so Soylent Green is a old sci-fi movie where.
Because I thought you didn't have TV, so.
I don't, but when the market's big enough, we consider it. We look
Okay.
So Soylent Green was an old sci-fi movie about turning a new food source for a starving world.
Yeah.
And Charlton Heston near the end finds out it's made out of people. So
really?
Soylent Green, this new miracle food supply, is made out of people. Also in the Warhammer 40 universe, they call this corpse starch.
Gotcha.
I think they're kind of paving the way for a future where
sort of like if you travel
food sources.
Sort of like if you travel to Mars or to another solar system, you'd want to recycle everything. So there's sort of like an R&D component to what you're
including the
saying.
people who don't make it.
Right. I mean, there could be diseases, there could be all kinds of things that happen, and you don't want to just like discard the bodies into space. A little bit like in Dune when they recycle your water, you can also recycle the organic material. But obviously it's kind of very theoretical at this point. But have you thought about, your fundraising needs? Because I write very small checks, right? Like $69, $420. Those are pretty much my what's in my wallet. So
we're fully funded.
Oh, you're fully funded. That's true. You have old
It's a private venture.
So,
it's not.
So you're thinking about, so why are you on the show? Would you like
Well,
me as an advisor?
I was looking for fish, supply of fish. But
Well, it was very interesting. I mean, clearly we're not going to fund you.
Because we won't let you if you want to. If you ask nicely, we will reject you politely.
Well, that's it, folks.
That's it,
So that was the show.
But
Thank you very much.
if you are interested in invest, there is another company.
Oh, go ahead,
that
go
we
ahead.
just started. It's called Familial Doody.
Did you just come up with that? Familial duty.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So let's be clear. And it's kind of a suite of products centered around kind of the family connections that we all have.
Okay.
And I think, as most people might be aware, there is a loneliness epidemic in the United States.
Sure.
A lot of elderly people.
Yes.
Social isolation, and I think we can all relate
Hard
to
to use
this.
cell phones, stay in touch with your
May
family
or may not
friends.
know tech that well.
Right.
Some people like to claim it's a technological barrier. I think we at Familial Doody think it's just a question of incentives.
Right.
Specific, like how often do you talk to your parents?
Every day.
Okay, well, no, you
I know.
I mean, some of us don't have mommy issues, but I think for most of us, I think what's the number one complaint our parents and grandparents have? We don't call enough.
That's
And we-
right.
and we
That's
don't
right.
talk
The
to
kids
them
don't.
enough.
Right. Exactly.
And
They
why?
don't have
And
much
why?
gratitude.
Because they suck, right? Nobody wants to talk to an old person. They're not interesting. They start to lose track of everything. And do you want them dead?
I think they're very wise.
Do you wish they were dead? Yes, but you don't say it.
No, I
You don't
don't.
admit it. See, this is a classic example of the public display of familial
Clearly,
duty.
the trust fund kid has issues with his parents, but I don't.
Okay.
So maybe I'm not your
See,
target
I think
audience.
the fundamental issue here is people have to pretend that they want to talk to old people, but they don't. But
Okay.
they have to pretend in public, just
For
like
some
you're pretending
people.
right now.
For some people.
So this is a suite of products to help kind of manage that. And so the first pillar of it is we combine students who want to learn English as a second language
Oh, that's a fantastic idea. I'm with you.
with
Yeah.
old people who no one wants to talk to.
For sure. I love this idea. Because for a lot of old people, they could be fantastic tutors. They could provide, emotional support to kids or to people who want to perfect their English
or
or
just
things like that.
or just ramble on incoherently in
Yeah.
a hard to understand manner. But
That's
that's
right.
really just testing the comprehension skills. Once you can understand those people,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can understand all Americans.
Yeah. So, but there are sort of tutoring platforms that already exist that have a little bit of that model. So, and I mean, I'm not saying that they have a huge market penetration, but you could sort of like, I don't even remember their names here, but I've looked
That's the
into
problem. They have poor branding.
that. Perhaps, yeah. But so you're thinking about really expanding the supply, and maybe even sort of some of them might even want to do voluntary work, etc. Because that's kind of a mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
So I love the idea.
This is phase one. But
Okay. What's phase two?
well, phase two is obviously
Because I like phase one. You have
like
me as
phase
an
one. That's
investor.
perfect.
You have me as an investor.
so
We
phase
just need to
one,
discuss distribution
because we have
and how you're going to grow it. But yeah, go ahead.
We have you got a huge. You have all these English as a second language learners.
Right.
You have them talking to all these lonely, depressed elderly.
Sure. Yeah. Who speak English, or it could also be lonely,
Yeah.
depressed, elderly Japanese or
Sure,
Chinese, because
yeah,
there's a lot of
yeah.
people.
We can branch out. I mean, the point is connecting language learners with
Right.
people who have nothing to do and want to talk.
Yeah.
to
So it's
someone.
like a complement to Duolingo and other language.
But it gives you that
platforms.
real life, unlimited access to.
Right. Or it could also be for people who are just
conversation.
who are just looking to be listened to, right? Like a mental
Sure, yeah.
health app, like
Yeah.
yesterday's sponsor, Altered Self.
And so I think the key is now most of this is all managed on the platform,
Right.
for safety and security reasons.
Yeah.
So we have transcripts running of both sides of the conversation.
Okay.
Now-
so far it's still like wonderful.
Yeah.
I love that we didn't
Yeah.
take like a dive into unethical, illegal land. This is wonderful.
I don't understand.
I love it.
I don't understand what.
Thank you, Jack.
What you're referring to.
You're really helping my show here.
This is a.
But I'm also like feeling like you're about to launch me off. It's like we're going up the roller coaster here, and then I'm about to see the ride come. Go ahead.
That seems absurd.
I heard it.
Boy,
Click, click,
safety,
click, click,
safety and
click,
security.
Click, 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 and then
Now-
like, is my safety vest on?
Inevitably, there will be abuses of this platform. People targeting the elderly for love scams. We monitor and observe this.
Yes.
And so we have it on record. This is a common, unfortunate problem where,
Right.
say, vulnerable populations are being
Right.
targeted by love scammers, by
Yes.
financial scammers,
Yes.
pig fattening. There's terms for this.
Yes.
But what people don't have
They're
is
gonna
a
sell their
large
data?
database of the actual conversations that lead to this behavior. And once you have that data, you can automate it, right? So you can take, we got this huge pool of love scammers. We can drive them out of business with lower cost automated services.
Right.
That do the love scamming.
So take the data, put the AI on it.
Yeah. And now
there could be tax efficiencies in how you transfer money through generations as well.
And now let's say your father's falling prey to love scams. We know mine is.
Yeah. And we don't want that to happen.
We don't want that to happen.
Right.
So instead, the AI love scams him. The money's transferred into an account managed by us.
Right.
We take a portion of that. We give a portion of that to the subscriber, and we send half of it back to the elderly person, so they can reinvest in the cycle. They kind of get a longer duration before they're bankrupt. So
you can scan them at will.
Well, they're getting scanned at half the rate they were getting scanned at before.
Right.
That's win-win-win.
Right. Okay. So, you bleed them over time, essentially, right?
Well, they're being bled already by love scammers. We're slowing the bleeding.
Right. And I feel like this, you really took me to like a really nice and gentle slope, because I think we can obviously figure that out and, find a way to do this in such a way
There's a third leg.
that the kids, that it's legal and that it's more like a red hat. Kind of, white team, red team,
white hat
testing. Yeah, exactly. Right. So you do it in a way that it's a legal framework. Let's say, hey, I've just shown you the danger of love scams, etc. So I can buy into that. I'm not sure that the actual transaction has to go all the way through for that to happen, and that there's potentially a way, but
it sounds like
I like where you're going.
It sounds like you're proposing a less profitable version of what I'm
I've removed the teeth a little bit, you'll still buy it, you'll still teach the lesson, you'll create value.
Well, if you think your version bleeds into slower than half, so
my version does not bleed anyone. It does not actually.
All right. Well, I look forward to competing you in the marketplace. That's what capitalism's all about.
You still have me as an investor. Right. I might just need to have a seat on the board and a veto on this.
Maybe I can. I think a stool, like a business like a stool, needs 3 legs to be stable.
Okay, go ahead. What's the third leg?
The third leg is, again, it's kind of it's more of a variation on the love scam, is these conversations are going to lead some people to commit suicide. Right? Okay. And that's a very important data set as well. Because, the millennials, the current generations, are not doing as well as their parents.
So it's like assisted suicide, but cheaper.
It's assisted suicide, but the person advocating for it is the inheritors as opposed to the victim. The person looking for easy of their paid.
Right. Yeah.
I call it suicide bot.
I don't know how I feel about where we're going here. I feel like it's sort of a roller coaster. I'm not going to get that many feelings in my belly.
Clean that up.
But then I'm not going that fast. But you just chop my head off.
What? Well, it's a package deal, all right?
Okay. Well, I think I can't invest in that business. I love the stools. I love the first leg, right? I love the first peg. The second one, I'd have to, maybe shave it off a little bit. The third one is just. It's hard.
I hate to surprise you, but you've already invested in the business. Catherine is not a real person. She's an AI scammer that we've been targeted to you as a proof of concept.
Tell me more about it.
Well, I think you know all about it. We have the transcripts of your entire conversation, and we know exactly how much money you sent us. So does that change your idea of the viability of the business?
So you're blackmailing me over Catherine?
I'm not blackmailing you. I'm just saying it worked on you.
What about Jessica? Was that also you guys?
That was everyone you've ever talked to has been us.
Ever? No. I think you're pushing it a little bit. But you mean in the recent past?
If you haven't met him in real life.
That's very insightful. Right. I can't invest in your startups because obviously the first one.
What about a subset of the startup? Which parts would you like to invest in?
The first one. The first part, the first leg of your second startup. Okay. I'm in if we can find a way to make it work.
All right.
Yeah. So should we negotiate on that one?
Let's do it on that one.
So $69 for.
Some of the money will be used to fund the other startup.
$69 for 6.9% of your startup sounds like pretty reasonable.
$69, 6.9 repeating percent of the startup. No, 69 repeating of the startup.
I don't know if legally we can do that. I don't even know if the. But I guess we could. The sponsor of our next show is Fair Stock Trade. I think that they cut it at 5 6s after the decimal.
I want to say decimal points as your financial system.
Is 5 enough? I think there's some legality.
Well,
around it.
if we have to cap it, fiscally and legally, that's fine. But theoretically, it's infinite.
Theoretically, it's infinite. I mean, yeah, okay, that we could shake hand on that.
Okay. This is how we do it. We can do semen if you want. That's how we did it in the old days.
Seam. Oh, you mean with a knife?
No, blood or semen is the way we used to do it in the old days, but
We're in. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.